Well, hey guys, it's Jeff from Pressure Luck, and it is chilly, it's cold. You know, I love this time of year, I really, really do. Because when the weather just changes into this moment of like the foliage and the trees turning all these beautiful colors, and you can go outside in a hoodie, it's absolutely awesome, and there's nothing else like it. The winter can wait a little bit. I mean, it's starting to get really chilly up here, but one of the best excuses for this time of year are soups. And I love soups, and so does the Instant Pot. There is nothing that makes a soup like an Instant Pot. And today, I told myself I'm gonna try something different. I was actually talking to Richard about this, who unfortunately at the moment isn't with me to sample this because he's in the city doing some work stuff, but you know, soon enough I'll save some for him. And I was saying, I wanna do a new variation of like a French onion soup, something that's different. And he goes, well, how about you do a French tomato soup? Okay, that was a terrible impersonation of him, and he's totally gonna chastise me later for even attempting such an awful impersonation. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, so I said to myself, you know, Richard, you're brilliant. He's brilliant, he's very smart. Let's do a French tomato soup. That's brilliant. We'll do a French onion style with the onions in there, and then puree them into the most amazing, creamy, cheesy tomato soup. And guys, just wait and you see what I have in store here. It's super easy to make, and that final finale of the cheese topping, kiss the chef, or chef's kiss as they would say. So right to the Instant Pot, and let's just get a little French, oui. Now this is not a French dish per se at all. I mean, it's not. You wouldn't find this in France, but it is inspired by a French onion soup, and we're gonna make some of the most amazing French tomato soup. Let's do it. Oui, mon chéri. The first step to making French tomato soup is that element of onions, because it's basically a French onion tomato soup. So I want to take four Vidalia. I learned how to pronounce that properly. I used to say Vidalia, but then I was corrected to Vidalia by my southern friends, including my southern gentleman, Richard. Or sweet onions. And we just want to slice them up into strands about yay big. We don't want them small or anything like that. We're going to immersion blend these later, these Vidalia onions. Julia Sugarbaker would be proud. All right, now let's move on to the pot. All right, so the first thing I want to do is take 4 tablespoons or a half a stick of salted butter and put it in the pot. You say butter, I say butter, same thing. All right, now I'm coming down to the control panel of the updated Instant Pot Duo Plus. They've updated it a bit. And I'm going to hit the saute button here. And I wanna go on high. And now I adjust that on this new model by hitting the temperature button, whether I want it to be medium, low, or you go in the other direction, or high, just like that, simple. Also on the new Duo Plus, if you just leave it there, it's not gonna do anything. You have to hit the start button. And then we hit the start button, and there we go. Okay, and now that our butter's all melted and sizzling, let's add in all of our onions. Now, it might seem like there's a lot of onion in there, and there is, but guess what? We're gonna cook these down. They cook down very, very easily. What I wanna do first is I just wanna mix them up in the pot so the butter is coating all of our onion. And we're gonna saute our onions in the pot for about 10 to 15 minutes until they become kind of soupy and pasta-like. Not quite caramelized, but almost so. So just give it a stir every few moments, and you'll see in about a few moments it'll have cooked down by about 2/3 to where it is right now. And there you have it. After about 15 minutes of setting and stirring our onions in the pot, they're going to become, like I said, pasta-like, a bit soupy, and even a little bit caramelized and brown. That's how we want it. Now let's move on. Add some garlic and saute for 1 minute longer. Okay, perfect. Now you see the bottom of the pot, we might have some browning on the bottom of it. We're gonna get that all up right now with some key ingredients that add so much flavor to the soup. And that's gonna be a 1/4 cup of sherry wine and 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. If you're not into the wine, you can absolutely leave it out. Don't worry about it, just add the Worcestershire sauce. Now look, as soon as I put that in the pot, the browning comes right up. Look at that. So it becomes nice and smooth. This is called deglazing the bottom of the pot. And you have a liquid in there that gets any brown bits up. You see this side too? Let's make sure all of that comes up. We don't want anything stuck to the bottom. We want it to be nice and clear. Alright, so about a minute after doing this, I'm going to add in 1.5 cups of broth. And that could be any broth of your choice. I'm using a sauteed onion broth for this. Better Than Bouillon makes an amazing sauteed onion base. So I'm using 1.5 teaspoons of that and 1.5 cups water, but you can just as easily use vegetable broth, garlic broth, chicken broth, whatever you want. Gonna also add in 1.5 teaspoons of dried thyme and two 28-ounce cans of peeled tomatoes. They look like they're whole plum tomatoes in there. We're gonna add that in with their juices right to the pot. And I'm not gonna stir it around. I'm just gonna kind of smooth it out in there. Let the broth and the onion settle to the bottom first. Now I'm gonna top this off with a bunch of fresh basil leaves. Just literally put it right on top, no stirring. Marvelous. Now it's time to pressure cook. Yes, it was that easy. I'm gonna secure my lid. Make sure I'm in the sealing position on some models like the Duo Plus, the upgraded Duo Plus. It already does that for you automatically when you seal it. But if not, it has a little nozzle here and you can just make sure it's in the sealing position. Now I'll come back down on my control panel and hit the cancel button, and then I'm going to hit the pressure cook button. And I wanna go, guys, for 6 minutes at high pressure. Again, to change that, I hit the plus and minus for the time to go up and down. And then to change the pressure level, all I do again is hit this thing. Either it's gonna be low or high, simple as that. I'm always gonna cook at high pressure. Then hit start, and then that's it. And now that we're done pressure cooking, we're gonna perform a quick release. And the pin just dropped, so we're gonna take the lid off the pot. And isn't that glorious looking? Okay guys, one of my favorite kitchen gadgets in the world that I feel like no kitchen should be without is an immersion or stick blender. Why? Because we're gonna puree this soup. And why have to transfer everything in batches to a blender with mess back and forth when you could bring the blender to the soup itself, right in the pot? I can't stress this enough. Get an immersion / stick blender. I will link it in the recipe. They're all awesome. All right, put it in here, and this is actually kind of fun. Let's blend. And alternatively, before you blend, if you wish, this is optional, you could take some of the onions out of there, about a cup or so. Reserve about a cup of the onion. You don't have to do this. It's just if you wish to have some onion in your soup before it gets completely pureed into it. Keeps it more rustic. Again, optional, you don't have to do this. And it doesn't even have to be a full cup. It can just be like, you know, however much you want. You're just gonna put a little bit in each bowl. All right? Just like that. All right, now let's puree. Alright, and by the way, when you're immersion blending, try to make sure it's fully submerged underneath, because if it's not, it's going to splash and splatter everywhere. We don't want that to happen now, do we? Alright, now it's very thick, almost like a sauce, but guess what? We have our finishing touches to cream this out. I'm going to add in some heavy cream or half and half, and some garlic herb cheese like a Boursin, Alouette, Rondelet, whatever, or you can make your own like I'm gonna link. I actually found a like caramelized onion flavored Boursin. It's like some limited time thing, so I got it, why not? Perfect for this. 1.5 cups of the heavy cream or half and half. 2 cups each, so 4 cups total. That's a pound. Whoopsies! Now, don't let that happen in your kitchen if you just knock something off. I gotta clean that up. But in the meantime, since I'm here, let's mix in the cheese. I'm gonna add in 2 cups of a mozzarella and 2 cups of a shredded cheddar type blend, a Colby Jack, whatever you want. It could be a regular cheddar, sharp, medium, mild, whatever. Just add it to the pot and give that a good stir. And then as I stir that up a little bit in the pot, I'm going to add in 2 teaspoons of seasoned salt and 1 teaspoon each of black pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder. Add that in there, stir it up, and now we're going to give that a final blend. Lovely, gorgeous. And then look at this, no mess. You just pop off the end of the immersion blender and then just wash it in the sink. Well, I have some glass to clean up now, and be very careful when glass falls on the floor in the kitchen. I love Annie Lennox, but I don't want to hear that song right now. And if you reserve some of those onions, add them back to the pot now as well. Give that all one final last stir into the pot. So we have some beautiful French tomato soup. Well, French style, right? Okay, now on a baking sheet lined with foil, I want to take an onion soup crock. It could be a larger one like this or a smaller one, whatever you want to do. And the first step is going to be to ladle in the soup. And by the way, you can do this up to like 4 crocks at a time or 6, depending on how large your baking sheet is and how many people you're making this for. Okay, and there we go. I want to ladle until I'm just below the lip of the crock. Next up, we want something for our cheese to rest on, and I'm going to just take some good old-fashioned croutons for this. Any flavor you enjoy. It's going to create a foundation or like a mattress for that blanket of cheese to lay on, so it doesn't sink into the soup. All right, nice. And now we're going to seal it with some cheese. Now it depends on how large your crock is. If it's wider, like this one slice isn't really going to cut it, and it's just more excuse for more cheese. However, if it's a smaller diameter there, you might be able to get away with just 1 slice. But since I have 2, I'm going to do it like this, Harlequin style, like a diamond. 2 slices of Munster on the bottom, and for the top, 2 slices of cheddar. Yep, we're going all the way, and this is gonna look beautiful. Now, what I love to do here is, I don't really love raw tomatoes, but I love them when they're cooked. The best kind of tomato I find for this is like something called like a cocktail tomato, or like a vine-ripe tomato, something kind of tiny. Here, these are the type of tomatoes you want. These tiny little guys right here that are like on a vine, they're a little bit larger. They're a little bit larger than a cherry or grape tomato. About the size of, I'm trying. Ping pong balls. We'll say ping pong balls. You see that right off the vine. Very nice. Cocktail tomatoes. And you can either just slice them like this and put it on raw, or you can pre-roast it and then put it on, which I'm going to do here. And then we're gonna put this inside of the toaster or the oven, and we're just gonna let this broil until all that cheese gets nice and melted. In this situation, I am going to put my crock, I could fit 2 of them really in here. I could actually probably fit 4 of them on there. These are pretty large crocks. Into my toaster oven, which happens to also be an Instant Pot brand, Instant Omni Plus. You could use any convection oven or a regular oven. I just feel like this does things a lot more quickly. I'm gonna put this on the lowest rack possible to stay away from the top, because honestly, in a small little thing like this, it's gonna melt very quickly. And then I'm just going to close it, and I'm just going to hit the bake button. I'm going to go really on my temperature here. Where is temperature? There we go. For about 425. I want it to be pretty hot. I don't have to preheat this. I'm just going to put it in there. It's going to happen pretty quickly. 6 minutes is fine. I won't even need that long, because it's going to start melting very quickly. And now keep your eye on it, and it's all going to vary depending on the kind of oven you use. When you see it melted and bubbling, that's when it's ready. So we'll just check back in a few moments. And there we go. That's been in there for about 3 minutes, and that looks absolutely grand. All right, let's get that out of there and serve it up. And there we have it on the plate du fleur. Look at that. Perfection. Yeah, obviously put that on a plate so it doesn't go directly on the table. This is going to be hot. It's ceramic. And obviously whatever you put in the oven or toaster, make sure it's oven safe. Hence the crocks that are ceramic being perfect for this. By the way, if you wanted to, you could also put a little bit of fresh basil on there as well. Just a few tiny leaves. Totally up to you, not required. And now this soup is ready for its close-up. Here we go. Got the spoon ready. Let's dive right in there. Oh boy. Oh boy. Cheesy, dreamy, French tomato soup. Look at this. The croutons are in there. Woo! Woo! All right, I gotta try this out. All right, folks, here it is. French tomato soup. Woo-wee, look at all that cheese. Oh, please. Please, please, please. More cheese. All right, let's do it. I don't know what else to say. Maybe it's for the best. I'll give myself a break from talking, because if somebody talks so much, just feed them this soup and they'll stop talking, because they're just gonna eat it. You'll get a reprieve from how loud and fast they talk, and that thick accent that sometimes might not be your favorite thing and grates on your nerves. I don't know who I might be talking about. Feeding somebody this soup's gonna do that. It is divine. It's delicious. It's to die for. Comfort. Comfort. And you know what? I'm getting warmed up from this. I could take this hoodie off right now, because this soup is hugging me and keeping me warm. The cheese, oh, who doesn't love the cheese? The cheese to me on any of these types of soup, a French onion, now French tomato soup, some of the best parts. Look at that. The flavor of this soup, it's just outrageous. It's outrageous. Coupled with all the cheese in there, and the basil. The soup is loaded with flavor. It's not a thin soup, it's not overly thick. It is just the right consistency, and if you want the onions, like I said in there, reserve some and then pour them in at the end. If you don't, just keep it nice and smooth. And if you want it thinner, you could also, of course, add more cream to it. And no such thing, in my opinion, is too much cream in one of these types of dishes. You're already going crazy. The calories don't count at this point for this dish anyway. Just go for it, go wild. Don't judge me. All right. Actually, of course you're gonna judge me. This is the internet. The perfect soup to a chilly winter's evening or a brisk fall night. Guys, if you enjoy these recipes, check out pressurelovecooking.com. I think I might have some tomato soup in my facial hair. I have lots of recipes there, lots of recipes. Also, there's videos to go along with every single recipe. There's not one recipe of mine in the hundreds and hundreds I have that doesn't include a video on how to make it just like this one. I'm the author of 2 #1 bestsellers, the Step-by-Step Instant Pot Cookbook and the lighter Step-by-Step Instant Pot Cookbook, with the original Step-by-Step Instant Pot Cookbook, the orange one, now available in Spanish in Latin America and here in the States very soon, I am told. I also have another cookbook coming out in April of 2022, the Simple Comforts Step-by-Step Instant Pot Cookbook, which, you guessed it, is all comfort food, kind of like this soup. This soup won't be in it because, of course, I came up with it after I wrote the book, but there's some amazing recipes you're not going to want to miss in there, including my classic French onion soup, which this is the sexier, redder cousin of. Check me out also on facebook.com/pressurelovecooking and give that page a like to make sure you see any new recipes that come out like this one. I often share deals on items that I find very useful in the kitchen, kind of like that immersion blender if one of those ever goes on sale. And I also like to have some humor and ask you guys some questions, and I like to do lots of live videos and bring you on with me, and at Pressure Love Cooking on all the other channels. Definitely subscribe to me on YouTube as well, and Instagram. Check me out there. Thanks again, guys, and remember, if life ever throws tomatoes at you, well, you know what you're gonna be doing very, very soon. And that was such a cheesy thing I just said that, look, it supplied the cheese for the soup as well. Enjoy. Oh.